Hey everybody, wish you guys all well. Back to running in the summer heat. And when the blood is pumping, the ideas flow. Deeper truths come in. Because I believe in my heart that when we sacrifice the need to feel good and prioritize what is right and are purpose driven, the things that make us feel good in the right order come to us naturally. It's the difference between being attractive and trying to get something. It's the difference between being an attractive person and being a vulture, being a vampire, needing to get validation from the world, needing to get validation or feeling to cover up a lack of purpose in our life. But the core of this video, which has really been a topic that's been on my heart lately, is humility. It's essentially, and I've made a couple videos on it, but essentially it's the willingness to be humiliated. It's the willingness to step forth. I talk a lot about Christ on this channel, and believe me, in my heart, I think the world needs less Bible thumpers and more of the living word. Less people being preachy and more people living it. More people being humble, willing to be humiliated, willing to speak the truth, willing to look within their own lives and say, hey, you know what? I've screwed up here, I've screwed up here, I've screwed up here, and I want to go here. Instead of negotiating and rationalizing mediocrity, rationalizing our sin, our ways of wrong living. We know what they are deep down. I'm not here to preach, right? We all know. We all know when we're lazy. We all know when we're angry. My thing was lust. We all have our sin. We all have our weak spot. And we have a responsibility to shine, to overcome those weaknesses. And it's painful. But the core message that I wanted to share in this video is that it's one thing to recognize and be humble and have humility when we have something in our own lives, something, I'd say, small, in our own personal lives where we want to rectify. I speak about the gym and exercise and fitness a lot because I think they're reflective of spiritual aspects. They're patterns of behavior. Either you go to the gym when you don't want to go, or you don't, and you give in to that weak mind. And in the same way, we have a moral foundation in our society. And when enough people are not moral, when they don't live up to the right way, it's easy to do the expedient thing. It's easy to give into our emotions when we're wronged and other people hurt us. The inclination is to react instead of to respond, to be the example instead of taking revenge out on other people. The classic example that always comes to mind is road rage. Somebody cuts you off, and how you choose to respond in those moments reflects your character. But back to the humility is that it's easy, or I'd say easier, to affect something smaller. Like, let's say we want to lose weight, right? We know we're not going the right way, we lose weight. Well, that's one level. But what do you do when a whole generation is accepting lies? When a whole generation is accepting degeneracy? Well, I had to look within my own life. I had to look at my past, stuck in porn and sex and that need for validation. And realizing that was the normal in our society. Growing up with Jersey Shore as a show that was normalized in our society. Now I can point my fingers and say, oh, well, it's society. It's Jersey Shore. I'm a victim. And I think I'd be lying if I'd say that there isn't a slice of truth with that. But I leave it at a slice. There's 8 slices in a pie. 7 of those slices, I think, rely on you. So we have the willingness to take responsibility, and I think it's through God's grace, too, that we see it and then take the right action. And the reason I say that one slice is we are a victim, is, to me, it's the core of what Christ said, where he says, forgive them, they know not what they do. But then we have a responsibility when we start to see it. And I had to be honest with myself, I saw it. I saw the degeneracy. I saw my laziness. I saw how corrupted our society is, how much that lies of generation after generation, and we're perpetuating that by agreeing with it or being too tolerant, overly tolerant. Again, You can't take on the whole world. You can't solve all the world's problems, but you can start with yourself, and you can start by speaking the truth, and start by seeking it and speaking it. And this goes right back into humility. It's a very rare being who has the ability to correct other people in a loving way. And the same thing, again, it starts with yourself. You say, hey, maybe I've been wrong here. Maybe I haven't been living the right way. I've believed this, 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 and this. Because you have to challenge your beliefs and go deeper into them. Why is that the right way to live? A big one is sex before marriage. It's one that I commonly bring up. How many people want to say that that should be the standard? Well, people will rationalize it again. Oh, well, there's nothing wrong as long as it's you know, as long as there's no lying and people are on the right page, you know, they're not lying. But it's like, what if two people believe that being, what if two people both agree that lying is okay, right? So again, peeling back the layers, I think the Socratic method is a good way of doing this, right? But again, the humility of years, generations believing a right way is a wrong way, that's what we're up against. And the only way we're going to be able to deal with that, those kind of levels, generational lies that we've been told, is to go back to the roots. And again, starting with ourselves. Because ultimately that's what it all comes down to. It all comes down to you. And this message is for me as much as it is for you. That's why I make these videos. Humility, leading with humility, is not fun. If you're someone, and especially to the extent that you've bought into the idea of pride in our culture, which is being ramped. And I'm not just talking about LGBTQ+, or whatever letters they've added onto that now. But the real pride is a human issue. And when you realize how deep-rooted pride can be, it's painful to bring it up, but it's necessary. Lead with humility.